and welcome back to the Art Exchange. I'm your host, Kirsten Anderson, and with me today we have the lovely Holliby. Welcome, Holliby.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
Oh, not too bad, actually.
That's good. Well, that's good because we wouldn't want you to be bad. So thanks for agreeing to be on the show. We're just going to paint what Mitch is going to reveal to us in a little while, but in the meantime, we're just going to chat a little bit, find out a little bit about you and your art career so far before we get started.
Okay.
So are you from Sarnia originally?
Originally, yes.
Okay. And how long have you been involved in the art world?
Well, I would say, I went to school for the arts all through high school. I was in Gary Nixon's class locally every year for all 4 years. And then after that, I went to a Beale in London, HB Beale Technical Commercial, and I went to the Beale Art Program. And I was there for 2 years. I did their specialized art program, which got me in my first year of university. And I graduated from Halifax, NASCAD, actually, in the year 2020.
So you're very...
Sorry, 2000?
Wait a minute. Last year.
I graduated from university in the year 2000 at NASCAD.
And then you came back to Sarnia afterwards?
No, I went out west for 8 years.
Okay, so you are a national art aficionado then.
I did do shows out there. I was more known as an artist out there than I am in Sarnia, locally, yeah.
And what kind of art did you do when you were out there?
So I would call myself a mixed media artist. I definitely dabble in all sorts of different mediums.
Okay.
And the one that stuck the most, I guess, would be painting, but I end up putting collage into the painting as well. So, and more of a three-dimensional look. 3D design was my thing, and I, over the years, became a designer maker. So a lot of the things I did move towards was clothing design. And I did a lot of shows out west, but I also did painting, and I had a studio out there. So it was that, as well as videography.
So that's super, super diverse. That seems to me like three entirely different, like we've got the painting aspect, and then the clothing design, and then the studio is more digital? Is that?
3D design.
Or 3D more digital?
3D design, no. It was just creating things in 3 dimension, right?
Okay.
So that they're tactile, you could lift them up. They weren't just painted on a canvas, on the surface of a canvas. They were things that you could wear, right? So creating something from a flat surface, like the designer concept, and then making it. So that's the designer maker side, right? So you actually take it from a process of creating in your mind, and then you make it happen. So doing all that in between stuff, like not everybody chooses to do that. They do one or the other, or they collaborate, which I also do too. Like,
So
what we're doing.
Right, exactly. Well, because I've seen your work. We've painted together before. I've seen your portfolio, but in reality, I don't know the full scope of everything you've done, or the timeline, or anything at all. So this is kind of neat because even though Holliby and I are friends, but I don't, and we're both artists, but I don't know that much about your.
That's because
your history.
I think that's because that was more of like when I lived out west. When I came home, I came home to have kids.
Right.
So I was trying to master the parenting thing.
Which is an art in itself.
Yeah, so now I have a studio in my home and I create in there. And
so what are you focusing on now these days?
I would say painting. And
so good old-fashioned canvas, brushes.
Yeah, I do have some like designer pieces I've done too that I would sell in your store eventually, right?
Perfect. Perfect. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So with the painting, I also noticed you've got some art around town too. You've been doing some businesses.
That's right.
As well.
So for the painting, yeah, I do commercial painting. So I know, where does it start and where does it stop? I don't know, right? But yeah, there is some places in town that have some of my pieces that are just outside, I guess, right now. And that would be a local deli here. I just did, some of the commercial side of it, right, where you showcase what's inside
Right.
this, on the outside of the building. And so window painting has kind of been a thing for me lately. I would say in the past 5 years, businesses have hired me to do window painting. Yeah, I'd rather design and make my creations and then, like not necessarily do what someone else has asked of me.
Right.
Like I kind of like most artists want to do exactly non-commission based. They want to create something that came from them.
Exactly, not tailored to meet somebody else's.
Yeah, which, I'm not entirely opposed to, but.
Right, but it is a different thing, and I know there's always a stress. There's always a, there's when you paint something for somebody on commission, even if they ask for something abstract or just give minimal guidance and just say, I just want something to fit this room. It's really hard because you're still trying to bring in their taste, their flavors, and there's always that, oh my gosh, like, what if they don't like it? And I
know.
throw my heart and soul into this.
Yeah.
But there's always that fear. I don't think it happens as much as an artist might fear, but.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. They're usually fairly easy on the artists around these parts anyway.
Right? Okay, well, thank you for that little brief, that little intro to your art so far. I'm really excited to see A, what Mitch has got for us to paint, and then B, what you end up making of it. So are you ready to see what we're going to start? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, audience, we'll be back.
Whoa!
So here we go. Welcome back to the Art Exchange. I'm your host, Kirsten Anderson, and with me today is the lovely Holliby. We've been working on Mitch's mysterious subject here for a little while, and we're coming along nicely, I think. So while we keep painting, I'll chat a little bit more. So Holliby, you talked a little bit before the break about your schooling. Mm-hmm. You graduated in 2000. So how would you say your artistic style has evolved in that time since you graduated from school?
Well, I would say evolved. I would say devolved.
Devolved.
Well, I used to do a lot more shows, and I did installation work too, and I'm just jumping back into it. And I think it's because of you. Because
of me?
Yeah, because Kirsten had this amazing studio downtown, and would have these workshops, and that's kind of what got me back into it. Yeah.
Well, hey, that's pretty awesome.
I met you at one of the art in the park, I think.
I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, the art in the park in
Brights
Brights Grove, and we also do the vegan dinners together.
Yes.
And then our friendship evolved from there. But I think like your style of painting drew me into wanting to paint again.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it? Anything specific you could put your finger on, or just generally?
I love your humbleness, for one. Because you always say things like, "Oh, I can't paint like images," and so this is a challenge for you.
Right.
And for
Very
me,
much.
I'm getting back into the imagery, and I'll tell you what I love about this particular image is it takes me to the style of maybe the first artist to teach me, which was Gary Nixon, the local art, in school, in a high school. And this is something that he would do.
Really?
Like this is that he would do really well with, like beachy themed work. Like he involves like Huron inspiration work, right?
Which makes sense considering where we live, right? Like it's all about the water and the beach and
Yeah, I definitely am drawing inspiration from the colors of Lake Huron, for sure, in my piece. And then, so that's the first thing I thought of was Nixon's work. Because actually, when I first moved back, I used to, I thought, well, nobody's going to hire me as an artist, so maybe Maybe I'll just open up my own gallery. And I had a few people in town who are amazing at doing that as well. So I would talk to them, and I ended up just doing something more locally, regionally, and nationally based. So I just carried all Canadian artists and designers, and Gary Nixon ended up coming into my shop.
Really?
Yeah, and we showcased his work on more than one occasion. And that was an honor. And then as well, to have local artists come in and showcase their work, like that, and we would feature a new artist and designer every month. And so basically what my shop was, Raw Symmetry, was we decorate you in your home. And with artist and designer pieces, right? And so we did that for 3.5 years, my sister and I, and yeah, like the name Raw Symmetry, I still kind of keep it going, but like I said, I'm just doing it out of my studio, and humble beginnings, like, that evolved into, representing other people.
Right.
Now I'm getting back to representing myself, but just having a fun, relaxed way about it.
So do you think you'll ever get into opening another studio or another store, or get back into that?
I think you and I teaming up, and you asking me to have a couple of pieces in your place, really started to get me thinking about doing that again, but maybe just putting pieces in other people's shops, and then also doing gallery, getting back into the gallery scene. That's kind of where I wanted to go with it. So just utilizing the studio space, and it's right beside my kids. I have 2 boys, their toy room, so it makes it fun and easy, and that I can incorporate it rather than give it up.
Right. So are you working on anything particular right now, looking towards the future and getting back?
There was this show that I did out west in Halifax. Sorry, out west in Halifax. Cut.
What? Well, I guess if you're in Europe.
Out west in Kelowna was at the Gallery of Wild Epona's Daughters. Yes, and it was my first solo show, and I had this series that I did called the Oddly Weird series, and it was about what lurked in the depths of Okanagan Lake Okanagan.
Okay.
Lake Okanagan. And basically it creeped me out how far down it goes, and they don't really know. And then
really?
they have the Ogopogo, right? Like the legend of the Ogopogo.
Is that like the Loch Ness Monster kind of thing?
The cousin of the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh,
apparently.
really?
Yeah.
Like actually blood relatives?
They probably hang out in the crevices underneath, right? Like, and they go back and forth.
Summer vacations.
Could be the same creature, you never know, but apparently they've been around for eons. And so yeah, there's that fable, and then, the fact that you can't see down.
Right.
And then I grew up on the lake too. I was thinking, because those images that I came up with which was what was down there, I created these like little cartoon-esque images of what I thought was down there rather than maybe what was, because you never know, right? Divers have never really gone down as deep as it could go, and they're always discovering new underwater creatures, right? So I kind of, when I got back to Sarnia, started thinking about doing a series on Lake Huron and what I believe is down there, but I kind of want to see real images of what's down there and then take my own concept
Now,
a step further, maybe.
are there photographers then who are exploring and taking photos of what's down there?
I would think so. They have shipwrecks and that type of thing, scuba diving shipwrecks.
Right.
My parents were scuba divers, actually, growing up, and they would investigate what's under there. And I like to sail, which is another thing
Interesting.
Yeah, I grew up on sailboats at the Sarnia Yacht Club there, and my dad and my grandpa.
Have you ever thought about donning some scuba gear? And well,
No,
you'd have to obviously get
I like being on the
certified.
surface of the water and swimming better than I do being
underneath?
like the thought of being underneath is more not really my forte. Like that's not really of my interest, but I am deeply interested in researching what's under there because, I mean, first off, the color of the water is so intriguing, right? And then what lives in that water? I've always, we don't really see anything come up on shoreline. Not too many.
We don't.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if whatever you think might be down there might end up showing its face today.
Oh.
Right? You never know. And actually saying that, we should probably get back to our attention to our paintings here. I think the audience has a few hints. They might be thinking they know or is still curious what we're doing, but we'll take another little break here, and when we come back, we'll reveal what we've been working on. Welcome back to the Art Exchange. I'm your host, Kirsten, and with me today is Holliby, and we have just finished painting today's masterpieces. So, Holliby, are you ready for the great reveal? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Abracadabra.
All right. So now this is interesting because this is, I would think, one of the few episodes we've done so far where our paintings kind of look almost like we were painting the same thing, which is pretty neat, even though we've definitely gone in completely different directions in how we brought them to the canvas. But for example, I absolutely love the teal colors that you chose for your background.
Thanks.
You're welcome. They just bring everything together, especially with that kind of peachy color of the sail of our abstract. It is kind of an abstract subject actually we're working with today.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. I was pulling, I think, from, like I was saying earlier, colors from Lake Huron, like the beautiful blue water.
yes.
Yeah, and I see that you did too on a different day.
I did,
Because the water
yes.
changes from, day to day, right? Like that's the beauty of it. And yeah, so I love that you in every painting I've seen in the series so far, because I got to see them, and you definitely, your style shows through, and that's a look that is really like not an evolution, it's just you.
Right.
Right?
Well, thanks.
That's what I love. I love your style. Hey, and that's funny that I said that.
That is true.
Because that's the name of her shop, Illy's.
It's
I
true.
love your style, or I like your
That's
style.
my other personality.
Yeah, so she and I really do connect on other levels.
Fashion and art and all sorts of things
So
that
she
are on the
has her
fringe of that.
store right across where the deli that I painted at recently, and that's Vic's Deli.
That's right. That's right. You were there actually, what, about a month or two ago doing the window paintings for him?
Yeah.
So your art, I look at the window, I see your art every day.
Right across the street from your
Yeah,
shop. Yeah.
so-
And then it just so happens our camera guy went there for lunch, so that's why I thought to say something, right?
of course.
And I don't know if he noticed.
I don't know, I'll ask him afterwards. So with your painting then, I mean, the teals, the beautiful water we have is apparent. Was there anything though that you had trouble trying to conjure when you were painting?
The thing I still want to, like I wanted to bring out more was the textures. So I really loved the driftwood of the piece. That really was what I wanted to bring out more, but I didn't feel I was successful at that. But the beautiful I would say flags in the piece. Those colors, that color scheme it was just really beautiful to me. So I was trying to kind of work on those more so. And
Yeah, I love the way you did your flags because they stand out and they look like all the little independent flags. I like that part a lot. And you did get some chunky too in the bottom. Your sky is a little bit smoother, but I see that you did get some chunky in your water and some chunky in your driftwood boat part. So, and it's definitely cannot be mistaken for anything else other than what our subject matter is too. So anybody who views both will be picked right up on that for sure. And then, yeah, was there any great challenge that you came across with it?
I would say me wanting to make it look like a real sailboat because I love sailing, and then just putting it on the lake rather than the background itself, which you know what I mean? It's like a green screen back there in my mind, right?
Right, exactly. We kind of have to make up our own backgrounds.
Yeah, so I had to ad lib there. But yeah, so I had fun with going inside my head there a bit. And
So what made you decide to go into this direction? You mentioned because of the lake, so
Yeah,
really because it's such a...
Yeah, because I'm really drawn to the colors of the Lake Huron, and I just, when I put my palette together based on what I see there, this is just kind of was like the
Naturally
evolution.
came out?
Yeah, natural evolution of it. Yeah, I think.
So while we've been chatting, Holliby, you've told me a little bit about the different things that you've been doing across your extensive career. And I mean, I know this would be wildly different from anything that you did with 3D and you know, centered around fashion. But was there anything different about the process of painting this than your normal painting process?
Yeah, sort of. I saw you using definitely. I like to incorporate spray paint. I didn't today, and I have in the past. I like to also use, I would say, objects in my work. So anything like that.
By actually putting 3D objects onto it?
Definitely, yeah. I add objects into the work, and I also would use collage.
Yes.
Like a collage element.
Now, did you bring anything today in case you got inspired to collage?
I was thinking about bringing a few magazines and adding them in. So, yeah, that was kind of where I was going to gravitate towards, but like I didn't know what I was coming into, and I just, yeah, I don't feel like it's lost without it. So that this is something that's kind of new because I typically would add
something. So
yeah,
this
something
is different in that you
like
just
more
work
dimension to it. Yeah, which is I think why I was trying to raise the colors a bit with the texture.
Well, and I think actually every time we do this, even though the subject is there and there's a time frame and there are things that are very set, everything is still experimental. Every painting, every episode we do, everything's experimental. It's not knowing what we're painting, how are you going to do it, what are you going to do, how's it going to differ. So, well, thank you so much, Holliby, for being part of the show and being such a good sport and coming in and painting with me.
Oh my goodness, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, and thanks to the audience as well for watching, and we will see you in the next episode of The Art Exchange.